low-carb live stream.
Get the signal inside. A little technical. Okay. We're good.
All right, everyone, hello and welcome. My name is Mike Young. I'm 53 years young. Yeah, and my beautiful wife Denise is 52. Actually, you can. I think
Yeah,
is
it's
it?
just, you're not in the
Oh, there we go.
shot. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you so much.
no problem.
We work with our nonprofit organization, aPlantBasedDiet.org. I've got a little water bottle here. We're a 501c3, and we focus on the plant-based lifestyle and basically how that improves your life, makes your life better, and enjoy life more. So I think it kind of goes along with what we're doing here, and we've got a nice little presentation here about mental health and how it can be optimized by the plant-based lifestyle. I'd like to give you a few bits of insight about that.
Next slide.
So the human body is a complex system, and I'm sure you all know. And the serotonin that your body produces, 90% of it is actually produced in the gut. So I'm sure you've all felt that at any point in your life where you got hit with something that was very emotional, strong, or triggering, and you said you had a gut feeling or you felt it in your gut. That's because your mind and your gut are connected. And so we talk a lot about how what you eat, what you feed your gut bacteria will affect your mental health because it's all connected.
Yeah, I mean this is a relatively new thing. You may have been hearing about this in the news because it has become popular recently, but it's very important. You got to optimize that gut bacteria to optimize your mental health. This is the short on that.
Maybe the next slide, please.
So it's essential to optimize your gut health to produce the maximum amount of serotonin that you can possibly produce for your brain. And one of the most important ways to optimize your gut health is eating enough fiber. And fiber is essential for maintaining a healthy gut microbiome, and it's essential for maintaining your serotonin levels.
Okay, and as we all probably know, hopefully there's no fiber in animal products. Fiber is only present in plants, and we're talking about actual plant fiber, not some kind of replacement for. So you have to eat a lot of plants. That's another short there. If you want to optimize that gut bacteria, eat lots of plants.
And for those that might not be familiar with a plant-based diet, when he says no animal products, he means no meat, dairy, or eggs, or any of those products that come from an animal.
Yeah. Zero fiber. There's no fiber in there, so it's not going to help your gut bacteria. It's actually going to make it worse.
So there are other benefits of fiber, and if you go back, it doesn't just affect like your mood. It affects other things like inflammation. It helps you age more gracefully. It's essential for your heart health. It's needed to maintain a healthy weight. Your metabolic health. You could develop metabolic syndrome without it. Other things, fighting cravings.
Yeah. So huge benefits, basically. We want to make sure we cannot understate, I don't know if Denise mentioned, but 95% of people don't get enough fiber on a daily basis. 95%. This is not me. This is, I think, Harvard University released a study that said that. So you're missing out on all these benefits if you're not getting that fiber. So that's what you're missing out on. It's a lot of good stuff that everybody wants.
So how much fiber do you need? You need 25 to 30 grams a day. And as Mike stated, most people are not getting that much. Currently, most adults are getting about 15 grams a day, if they even eat any fruits or vegetables that day. And so just an example, there are 13 grams of fiber in a pineapple. So you need to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables.
Yes, lots of delicious stuff, and of course that's what our nonprofit focuses on, is the plant-based lifestyle. We can help you with all these things, picking out the right fruits and vegetables, etc.
Excellent. So how do you get 30 grams of fiber in a day? I just logged what we ate for a couple of days and put it in MyFitnessPal. So as you can see, this day we had a couple of pineapples. We had this huge salad for lunch. We ate this whole bag of organic, no salt added, crinkle cut fries for dinner. And we had chia seeds and flax seeds, so we're getting our omega-3s without having to eat fish. And we had this huge smoothie for lunch too, and a banana for a snack, and I had all of those grapes. And so we ended up with 38 grams of fiber each that day. He probably had even more because he eats more than me. And if you're wondering where we get our protein from that day, I had 29 grams, which is perfectly sufficient.
Yeah, all plants have protein, as long as we're talking about whole plants. They all do. Actually, that's where the animals get it from. And I know that Tavares mentioned earlier, Clouded Mentalities takes a holistic approach to all of this. This is, if you notice, whole foods. It follows right along with what they're saying. This is the way to optimize, again, the mental health through the plant-based lifestyle.
Next slide.
Here's what we had on day 2. If you'd like to do more cooking and eat less raw food, we had these giant bowls of steel-cut oatmeal with some maple syrup and all of those fresh blueberries. We made our own soy milk with no added sugar or salt that went into our breakfast. You can have a whole baked potato with just some tahini on top and black pepper. You don't need butter and sour cream on a baked potato. And again, we had another huge salad with our dinner with some flax seeds and chia seeds. And Mike makes our own whole wheat spaghetti with this his own fresh tomato dressing. So,
And lots of colors too. You notice on this slide and the one before, lots of colors. This is why we have colored vision. At least that's my belief anyways, because you want to find these ripe fruits and vegetables because that's what the body craves for optimum health.
yeah, you see on that day we got 40 grams of necessary dietary fiber and 57 grams of protein, which is awesome.
Next slide.
So, eating a well-balanced diet helps with your gut microbiome. You want to avoid processed food, fast food, refined sugars, and minimize your caffeine and alcohol intake.
You see, that's me at an event with a bowl full of mostly whole plants or minimally processed. Lots of colors again, lots of fiber, there's water, and tons of various types of nutrition. You want to eat the rainbow. You want to eat a well-balanced diet to make sure that you're getting all the nutrition that your body craves.
Next slide.
So, why do you want to avoid alcohol? Studies in animals and humans confirm that it increases your intestinal bacteria, and it's a harmful bacteria. So it leads to an increase in endotoxins, and those endotoxins activate proteins in immune cells that promote inflammation. And what does your body do when it's inflamed? It's not healing. It's doing the opposite. So you want to avoid alcohol. Well, we're not saying you can't ever have it. We go to weddings too. Change our life. But it's really not good for you. You've probably all heard it's a depressant. It doesn't make you feel well the next day.
Yeah, we're trying to get here a balanced state of health, and unfortunately alcohol, it is a group 1 carcinogen if you're not familiar with that as well. It's another thing. But the reality is, like Denise said, it's a depressant, and it changes that gut bacteria in a not so good way every time you drink it. Just keep that in mind.
Next slide.
So it affects your gut-brain axis. That's that thing I mentioned earlier when you have a gut feeling about something or something hits you right in the gut, something sad happens to you, the first thing you feel is unwell in your stomach is because of that gut-brain axis is all connected. So the more you can avoid things like alcohol, the better off your gut bacteria will be. And so my source is the NIH.gov for this information if you'd like to read more about it. So high-fat diets are another thing you want to avoid. There was a study published in the Journal of Nutrients that found that high-fat diets decreased beneficial gut bacteria, and that decrease was associated with increased inflammation and oxidative stress, which can also lead to mental health issues. So we also found this at NIH.gov.
Let me mention too that this is a very common thing. What most people eat is too high of a percentage of calories from fat, in my opinion. We can go, we have many more resources on this. We can go into a lot of detail, but the reality is that people really need to look out for this. And again, especially if there is a mental health issue. If you're all fine and in balance, you may be real hardy and this stuff will bounce off you like nothing. But for others, this is not the case, unfortunately.
Most people.
For most people, yeah.
Next slide, please.
Yeah, you have a cheeseburger in the background here. That is some of the worst food for you. So those that include animal products and oil can cause an imbalance in the gut microbiome. So they lead to a decrease in the beneficial gut bacteria and an increase in harmful gut bacteria.
So the point that Denise brings up also, we talked about animal products earlier, they don't have any fiber. Of of course, almost nobody gets enough fiber. This is a big problem, right? Especially if you want to balance your mental health. What about the high fat? Unfortunately, almost all animal products are very high in fat, too high in fat as a percentage of calories to have balanced mental health. And there was one other thing I think on there. I'm sorry. Oil. Oil is not an animal product. Oil is totally plant-based, but guess what? It's one of the worst foods, in my opinion, that anyone can eat. And especially with all the processed foods that are out there now, most of them have oil as an added ingredient. A lot of people cook with oil. If it's an issue where you don't have optimal mental health, we would recommend not ever consuming oil or as little as possible.
I know you've all been told that the Mediterranean diet is the best and olive oil is good for you. The people got better on the Mediterranean diet because of the amount of fruits and veggies they were eating, despite the oil.
Despite, yes, that's correct. Yeah, because we like plants, but whole plants. Oil is, by the way, not ever present in nature. You will never find it in nature. It's human manufactured.
So a diet that's high in fiber can help promote the growth of beneficial gut bacteria, and that will help improve your gut health and increase your serotonin production. But in addition, daily vigorous aerobic exercise is also required for maximum serotonin production and optimal mental health. So Mike and I go running at least once a week. This is us running through Northern Virginia.
Yeah, and so we recommend like about 12,000 steps a day. A step counter is great. Your phone probably has that on it. But I would also say at least 30 minutes of vigorous aerobic exercise every single day in order to balance your health. If you're already in great mental health, maybe you don't need quite so much. But if you're wondering why I can't optimize that mental health, this is key. If you can't get enough sleep, this is key. Why? Because you're not, usually most people who cannot sleep, yes, they have things on their mind, but most people that I encounter are not tired. They're just not worn out. The lifestyle that we have indoors here is not conducive to wearing people out aerobically. And I've got some running shoes on, by the way. I don't have any, because I want to be able to walk, run, or wherever we're doing. Actually, most of the time, I try to stand up whenever I can do, and I encourage people to do that as well. Even treadmill desks, standing desks, these types of things are great life hacks, basically, to get these extra steps in and to not be sitting if you can avoid it. I know everybody kind of is here, but this is part of the work that we're doing is just trying to get the word out about stuff like this.
So a word about pharmaceuticals. And we're not saying you can never use them, but you should avoid them when possible, because when someone is prescribed an antidepressant, like some kind of
SSRI, serotonin reuptake inhibitors.
Yeah,
big
SSRI.
words.
The most common side effects are gut related, and many people will experience nausea, diarrhea, gastrointestinal problems, and that tells you that it's not getting along with your gut bacteria. It's not a good sign. So when the balance between the good bacteria and the bad bacteria is disrupted, then diseases may occur. And those are diseases like inflammatory bowel disease or IBD, asthma, obesity, metabolic syndrome, diabetes, cognitive, like Alzheimer's and dementia, and mood problems occur. So I got this in the Harvard Health Law.
Yeah, so let me also mention that, of course, I think we all know that all pharmaceuticals have negative side effects. Just open up that big long sheet or go to their website to see. It has all these, it's so long, it's ridiculous. Most people never read it. But we all know they have negative side effects. So if you don't have to use them, then let's try not to. Another reason, besides those negative side effects that they're required to tell you about, is the fact that Denise said it damages your gut bacteria. All these things, any kind of chemical, not just pharmaceutical, but other chemicals as well, will damage your gut bacteria, and you don't want to damage it because your body likes to optimize and balance that. It disrupts the balance as well.
Yeah, you should even try to avoid what's the one that actually kills your gut bacteria. Yeah, true. Thank you.
What was that?
A lot of times, yeah,
Antibiotics. Okay,
yeah.
so yeah, thank you.
A lot of people, when they go see their family doctor with a cold, they aren't feeling well. The doctor wants to make them feel like this was worth their trip, so they'll send them home with a prescription for an antibiotic, which has nothing to do with the virus that caused the cold. But I feel like when we're overprescribed the antibiotics, you've heard that a lot of bacteria is becoming immune to the antibiotics. So yeah, I would not take them unless it was absolutely
If you need to,
necessary.
if you need to, by all means. We're not practicing medicine. We're just discussing from our own experience here and through the nonprofit. And if you can try to optimize from a holistic standpoint, that's what we're encouraging.
Well, and also what you were saying before about antibiotics, they actually wipe out your good bacteria through the antibiotics.
Yeah, so that's going to affect your mental health just taking antibiotics. Yeah, yeah, it's yeah.
Okay, so here's a little picture that we found on the internet. If your doctor prescribes a medication for you without first asking you about your diet, your sleep, your exercise routine, your water consumption, whether you have any structural issues or the stress in your life, then you don't have a doctor, you have a drug dealer. You want to make sure that they're looking at your whole health holistically before they write you out that prescription. Anything to add to that?
That's it. Oh, and this is an important one too. You are what you eat. You see, the one on the right is more of a that's where you want to be, which is actually more of an alkaline, fruits and vegetables, natural colors. I'm not talking about chemical colors or anything. Natural colors. On the left there is more of like your brownish, your fried foods, things that are not fresh. And once you move away from natural, in our opinion, you start to move away from that natural state of balanced health, and especially from a mental perspective. And my rule of thumb here is the longer the shelf life, the longer something will stay around, the shorter your life. So the reverse is true. The shorter the shelf life, it's like super short shelf life on that right side in the produce aisle, right? The longer your life and the better quality too.
So balance. You've probably heard this word before in a holistic health perspective. The correct balanced mental health is only possible when your gut health is optimized to maximize your serotonin. And poor mental health conditions can actually be reversed back to health and balanced by increasing good gut bacteria and serotonin production. So yeah, this is us having fun and lots of fun.
Yeah, and so we always believe too that the body always wants to rebalance to that point, and it will take all the efforts that you do and quickly try to rebalance. So that's the key here is what we're talking about. Balance is happiness, fun. That's what we want to encourage everyone to do. We know that sometimes this is kind of away from what people are actually doing, but that's why we exist to kind of want to encourage the behavior, positive behavior.
Next slide.
So this is a quote from T. Colin Campbell. He was the writer of the China study where we learned about the connection between casein consumption. Casein is a nutritional element of cheese. He found
It's the protein.
And he found a link between casein consumption and cancer. And he said that if everyone were to adopt a whole food plant-based diet, he really believes that we could cut healthcare costs by 70 to 80%.
Yeah, so what he's saying right there, like he said, he has discovered that he believes animal protein causes cancer in humans, number one. You wonder why everybody eats cancer? There's many reasons, but this is a big one. Okay. Number two, what he's saying here with 70 to 8% is that 70 to 8% of all medical costs are due to our lifestyle choices. Okay, that's what he's saying here, and that's why we think that this information is extremely important to get out to the public.
And this is Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. He wrote a book on preventing and reversing heart disease. He said, I can barely see this over here. The more severe extreme diet on the planet is the one that leads to 97% of Americans eating the wrong stuff every day. And that diet is going to guarantee that before they perish, that they will have some hideous chronic illness. And he's talking about things like diabetes and heart disease.
Yeah, this is a cardiologist. He's talking about the standard American diet. He's saying if you follow the standard American diet, you're almost guaranteed to get some horrible, ongoing chronic illness. Who wants that? Nobody wants that. That's not fun. And of course, chronic illness means your whole body's out of balance. Just getting a chronic illness that may not have anything to do with mental health may cause you to mess up your good mental health. So this is all connected. We're trying to convey that.
This is what most Americans are dying from. It's what I lost from my father too, all of my grandparents, and it's all completely preventable. So that's what we're trying to get across to people.
Yes.
And this is our food certification program that we developed in conjunction with a physician.
Yeah, so if it's mostly about lifestyle choices, if it's mostly about food, because we believe it is, then what kind of food do you eat? And how do you know? Well, this is why our nonprofit developed this certification. The Healthy Vegan Food is go to healthyveganfood.info to find out what it means. And it's called healthy vegan food because not all vegan food is good for you. Actually, most of it that's out there is not good for you. And we're all about health, balanced health, and optimizing health. So we want to, just teach what we know based on our experience. And this is the future, we hope, of the way folks will be eating. When they look back at what we're doing now, it'll be kind of like, I grew up in the 70s and 80s because I'm a little bit older. I remember everybody was smoking back in the 70s and 80s. You couldn't go anywhere. There still would be smoking in this building, smoking in your car, smoking in the restaurants. I look back now, I'm like, I can't believe people live like that. But that's how I grew up. We're going to be looking at the food in the same way in another 20, 30 years, in my opinion. I hope.
Are there any questions?
Is that the last one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we got a question back there.
So, great presentation, a lot of great information. One of the things that I've seen all of my life growing up, especially in low-income communities, is brown diets. And when folks are trying just to make ends meet, and so they have to buy a loaf of bread or either chicken fingers or whatever's under that lamp at the convenience store versus going over to Whole Foods or to one of those other places that are on the other side of town. I can't get there because I can't afford
It's like a food desert, right? A food desert?
Exactly. So how is that? Or what are we going to do? Or what are we doing about it? Because it's really hard to get good quality food into certain neighborhoods.
Yes, we understand. And of course, we're talking about food as grown, meaning plants. So plants can be grown just about anywhere. It's a matter of teaching people how to do it. If they can't afford it, we understand. It's very inexpensive to grow your own plants. Yes, it takes some time, but most of the time it's just waiting. We go out the plants to grow. We know folks who live, we had a guy at one of our festivals that we produced who lives in Tampa. Now Tampa's a little bit warmer, but he lives in a small plot, very small place near center of downtown Tampa. Not so great neighborhood, one of the food deserts, the way he describes it. And he's teaching all his neighbors how to grow the vegetables and fruits. Because it's very inexpensive. Actually, what we're describing, believe it or not, even though, like you said, people are on a budget, because of the way that the certain industries that are incentivized these days by our government make certain things like fast food and other things convenient and fairly inexpensive, but there's nothing less expensive than getting a seed and planting it in your yard and watching that thing grow and eating it. There's nothing less expensive than that. And this is the kind of, we recognize that there's a disconnect there, and we're involved in projects where we are teaching people and working with others that are teaching people how to grow plants in different locations. And it can even be done indoors as well. So thank you for the point, and if you have any other follow-ups, please let us know.
Also, beans and rice are very inexpensive too. They're a lot better for you than toasting some bread. And they have all the 9 essential amino acids that make you feel good after a meal, just like a meal with meat would make you feel like you're full.
Yeah, that's one of those are some keys if you gotta go to the store, any store. I mean, sometimes in food deserts you couldn't even find beans and rice or even bananas at your local corner store or whatnot, unfortunately. But if you can get to a Walmart or something like that, you can get beans and rice. So it's like the least expensive food in the store. Same with bananas. You see this. I walk around the store. I'm like 44 cents a pound. Like 44 cents a pound. What else are you gonna buy that's that inexpensive? And I mean, yeah, you don't get the variety, but you get your health. Okay, that's the thing. When you start eating all those bananas and beans and rice, inexpensive, so inexpensive, but you get, and your taste buds are not going to be your best friend during this time. I'll tell you, it's a choice. There's no, I don't want to describe it in the wrong way. It is a choice. We eat the food the way we do in the United States, standard American diet, because our taste buds love it. But the rest of us doesn't. That's why we have the highest, I believe, the highest medical cost per capita in the world, and not the highest life expectancy. We're way down on that list. We do not have the results. We have the high cost of medical care and very poor results. We think that we could lower those costs. If Dr. Campbell said 70-80% of medical care is lifestyle related, we can get rid of that. Cut the cost 70-80% and increase the life expectancy, increase the happiness, increase the fun. It's a win in all directions. And it's just a matter for what we're concerned about is education. Yes.
My question is, can I make a few comments?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this presentation.
You're welcome.
It was very eye-opening, very heavy in information. There are a few things that I wanted to point out, just that might help to clarify something. Not that you could have done it, I just the things that that came to mind. Is one, a lot of people don't realize like the depth and breadth of what inflammation is. A lot of people think inflammation is just, oh, I twisted my ankle swelled up.
Yep.
That's inflammation. But when you have skin problems, a lot of times that's inflammation. You have gut problems, a lot of times that's inflammation. The inflammation is literally your body's response to something icky that's going on in your body and it's trying to fix it. And a lot of times we don't even know.
Oh, I'm glad that you know. I'm glad you're describing because we agree, and yeah, we didn't say that, so I'm glad you brought it up. Sometimes I don't want to get into too much detail here,
Yeah.
but what you're saying, you may agree with this. We do believe that like most of what we call, well, the World Health Organization calls non-communicable diseases. You know what they are? It's a disease that you cannot get from someone else, okay? But Dr. Campbell said 75 to 80% of medical costs are non-communicable diseases. Now, what is a non-communicable disease? Usually it involves inflammation like you're saying, but usually the whole point, and I think you're saying this, is that the body's trying to get your attention by this disease. So it's not to be suppressed, it's to be, the question needs to be asked, why is my body telling me this? What am I doing that I need to change? Because when you change, as Dr. Campbell and other doctors that we work with tell us, the conditions in almost all cases reverse because the body doesn't want to be in that. It's an out of balance condition. It's like the check engine light on your car going off. Out of balance, let's bring them on back, you know? And like we said, even if you don't have the money, because we know that's an issue, get your beans and rice and bananas. There's nothing cheaper you're gonna get anywhere.
Potatoes. You can live
Potatoes
off
too, yeah.
We're gonna
You'll bring yourself back into balance. Your taste buds won't be super excited, but the rest of you will think a miracle just happened. That's really what will happen.
The other thing, there were two other things, if
Yes.
you don't mind. One is just about physicians. A lot of physicians aren't trained at all in any aspect
Yeah.
of nutrition. They may have one class on nutrition in their whole medical career. Most of them are trained based on pharmaceuticals and how to prescribe pharmaceuticals
Yes.
to address symptoms, not to actually cure anything.
Yeah, that's a paradigm that needs to shift. And there's a concept called lifestyle medicine that most of the doctors we're involved with are practicing, like Dr. Campbell, Dr. Esselstyn, they're aware of it, they practice this. And we have other doctors that are actually, they're older, they're more teachers now, but we have other ones that are actually practicing. If you need a referral for a doctor, we'll be happy to give you some, of people that are into this paradigm because it's new. Because like you said, it's not generally taught, or if it is taught, it's such a small amount. But I will say the medical establishment is excellent at identifying what's wrong with someone. And like if you're in a severe like car accident or something, I want to go. I want them to fix me up. They're experts at that. But the question is, when there's a check engine light going on, it stays on for a long time. That's where they don't have that knowledge, like you said. But lifestyle medicine is something that hopefully you guys will be familiar with going forward. That's the way to integrate that into the existing healthcare system, and we're hopeful for that. Did you have another thing to add?
Yeah, just the last point in particular was to address the question about in low-income communities. A lot of people are not aware of is one thing. There's some of the barriers are simply education. People don't actually know how important it is because you hear you need your protein, and most people think, well, you get protein from meat, so I got to get protein. Iron, there's heme iron and non-heme iron, and so most people hear iron, you get iron from meat. And a lot of things about the fiber and stuff like that, you get fiber from bread, you get fiber from crackers and stuff like that. So one thing is it's a lack of education. The second thing is it's a lack of information, simply because SNAP benefits, if you go to a farmer's market, a local farmer's market, SNAP, which is
Nutrition.
supplementary nutritional assistance program or something like that.
It's like the food stamps.
It is the,
Yeah.
that's the name for food stamps. If you go to a farmer's market, most farmer's markets will double the amount of SNAP that you can use. So if you would say that if you put $20 towards the farmer's market, they'll give you $40 worth of credit to spend so that you can get fresh fruits and vegetables.
That's helping, yeah. That's incentives in the right place. We need more of that.
But, and again, it comes back down to information, people knowing about it, people knowing how to use, fresh products and things of that nature. and not to drown a salad in ranch dressing.
Yeah.
And then the other piece is that even seeds, like you can go to the dollar store and buy seeds with your food stamp card. You can go anywhere that accepts food stamp or SNAP benefits and sell seeds, and you can purchase them with a food stamp card. It's one of those things that is considered food.
Yeah.
And we have a growing season. We can grow 3, sometimes 4, depending on how the winter. And even some people can grow internally. There are lots of organizations around here that are growing lettuce and mushrooms and things like that internally.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of information and get people trained on how to do those types of things.
Yeah, and indoor farms is a new thing. You can probably, some of the produce you can buy, the salads and things, if you look carefully at it in the grocery store, they are now grown in indoor farms. This is a newer thing. So yeah, we are hopeful to see all those things. Those are excellent points. And yeah. Yeah, you're welcome.
Round of applause for Mike. And Denise, sorry, and Denise Young, Denise. Yes, Mike and Denise Young. Thank you guys. So